It's the Olympics right now, currently competing in Tokyo, and so figured why not right now go over some fantastic Olympic edition Omega watches that we have. So let's check them out. For anyone who has been paying attention to this year's Olympic Games, I'm sure you've seen a lot of advertisements for Omega watches. They are, of course, the official timekeeper of the Olympic Games, for those of you who didn't know. And in fact, I would say up there with being the first watch on the moon, the official timekeeper of the Games is possibly Omega's proudest achievement as a brand. They've been the official timekeeper of the Games ever since 1932 when the Games were played in Los Angeles, and they have off and on been the official timekeeper ever since. Now, it's not just enough for them to sponsor the Games and, of course, time all the track and field events. They also release limited edition watches for each Games that they sponsor, and we actually have 3 examples from the last 3 Games here with us. So I guess we'll just go ahead and start in chronological order from the oldest all the way up to the Tokyo 2020 edition that we have in stock right now. The first one we have here is from the Rio Games in 2016. This is a beautiful Seamaster 300M series, and it does have a lot of things in common with the Omega Seamaster that was being contemporarily made along with it. It does have the ceramic dial and bezel, also the James Bond bracelet. This is very much an iconic Seamaster in a lot of ways, but with a couple of really subtle details and a really fun watch for really great games in Rio de Janeiro. Specifically, the first thing you might notice is on this ceramic bezel, we do have the minute markers are in multiple colors here. These are the different colors of the Olympic rings. You are going to find some sort of that color combination in most Olympic watches they make, and I think it's a really fun detail. And it really adds a great splash of color to what is a pretty iconic and traditional watch design. The second thing you might notice aesthetically is the wave pattern dial, but this wave is a lot different than the Bond wave that you might have seen from some older Seamasters. This wave is actually mimicking the pattern of the Copacabana sidewalks at the famous beach there in Rio. I think that's where a lot of the volleyball events and such actually took place, was on that very beach. So this is a very iconic type of design for anyone who's familiar with Rio or Brazil in general, and I think it looks incredible on this watch, and I really don't know how intentional it was that it is like almost exactly like the Bond wave pattern, but just a little bit different, and it's a little more pronounced here, of course, to make it for the Games. On the underside here, we don't have an exhibition case back with this one, but we do have the Rio Olympic emblem on the back with the logo and the 5 Olympic rings. You also have the limited edition number engraved on the back of this case back. Mysteriously, even though it is the 2016 Games, Omega decided to make 3,016 pieces. I suppose 2016 weren't enough. They decided to crank up an extra 1,000, and I'm a little perplexed by that decision, but this watch is not quite as exclusive as some of the other ones, but it is still an absolutely beautiful one, and I suppose people just couldn't get enough of it, that they had to up the production a little bit more than the year of those actual Games. The next one we have, the next 2 we have actually are going to be Aqua Terra series. So these are again going to be very similar to some contemporary Aqua Terras, but with a couple of fantastic details for those Games. This one is for the Winter Olympics in Pyeongchang, South Korea in 2018. This is a blue teak pattern dial. At first glance, very reminiscent of a much more traditional type of Aqua Terra. Omega doesn't really reinvent the wheels with any of these Olympic watches. However, I do think it is great the subtle details they have, and that makes it a great collector's edition for a lot of reasons. So you do have, the white gold markers, the teak pattern on a blue dial, which is a really popular color here, but you actually have, again, in the Olympic ring colors, the words Pyeongchang 2018 here on sort of the right-handed side of the dial. And the reason why they did that, Omega is very proud to let you know that they had the 20 and 18 actually perfectly line up with where it would appear on the minute markers. They seem to think that this is an incredible once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, but they really could have put this anywhere, so good for them for choosing to do it right here. Omega patted themselves on the back a little bit on this dial, I'm not going to lie, but it is still a beautiful watch, and it is a very subtle one, so you don't have to, be some sort of ostentatiously bragging that you do have have a limited edition watch from a very specific athletic event. This is 90% just a straightforward Aqua Terra. However, where we do set this part apart is on the case back. This does have a beautiful exhibition case back, if you can see here, with a much more colorful logo of the games. I love this is what's going to differentiate it from the Rio one, is that with the clear sapphire case back, you are able to get an actual color sort of imprinted dial on the back, and that is an absolutely beautiful logo. It's got all the Olympic ring colors in a beautiful combination here, and it is not so obstructive that you cannot see this beautiful 8500 coaxial caliber movement here. This is again going to be the same movement in all contemporary Omegas. It is going to be anti-magnetic to 15,000 gauge, and just an absolutely incredible machine inside this beautiful looking Aqua Terra watch. The next one we have, another Aqua Terra, but a little bit different. It's a little more updated because, of course, this one is for the current games that we're playing right now, the 2020 games in Tokyo. This is a little bit larger. I think this is a 43 millimeter compared to the 41.5 millimeter over here. So it's beefed up a little bit and it has a few other differences as well. One thing that you're going to notice is going to be the same as other Aqua Terras is the high polish finish. Again, center link bracelet, high polished bezel, and lugs here on the case. The logo is the repeating pattern of the Tokyo Olympic logo. I think it is absolutely beautiful. It's a great sort of checkered dial pattern, so it sort of almost looks like a racing watch, sort of like a checkered flag, but I do love the different blue colors. It is a really, really sharp contrast there with the blue and gray. And the date window here at 6 o'clock, I think, is a great feature they're doing on contemporary Aqua Terras. Another great thing on the back, again, you are getting another Olympic logo on the back, this one with a bit more blues for the Tokyo Games. This one has a caliber 8900 movement, which is just like the 8500. It's going to have a slightly larger power reserve and, of course, completely coaxial like the other two here. And, of course, both of these Aqua Terras, specifically for the last two games, completely unworn models, and they come in absolutely beautiful commemorative boxes for those games. So whether you're a fan of the Olympics, sports in general, or want to add to your Omega collection with some limited edition pieces to commemorate these games, you really need to get on it. We only have one example of each of these, and I can only imagine the fact that the games are getting played right now is really going to have these watches on people's minds. So don't let it get away from you. And of course, if you're looking for perhaps a more standard Omega or a watch from any other brand that we might have, drop us a line, give us a call, shoot us an email, and of course, like and subscribe to our channel so you can see all the great new stuff we're adding every single day at SwissWatchExpo.com.